A very good evening to you all. Welcome to the TCHub's coverage of the FA Cup third round draw, and we're bringing it to you live here on the commentary hub. Joining me today is our very own commentator Mike Ornament, and he's an Arsenal and Stevenage fan. Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Would have been better if Stevenage got through at the weekend, but can't complain. Other than that,
Yes, and also joining us tonight, we've got Nottingham Forest fan and co-commentator on the channel, Luke Turton, joining us as well. Luke, how are you doing, my friend? You okay?
Evening, yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Good. So I'll come to you first, Mike. Obviously, you said it'd be better if Stevenage was in the act as well again with Arsenal.
yeah,
Looking at the draw, then, Mike,
yeah.
and the teams that are in the draw. Who are you hoping for Arsenal get this evening when the draw takes place in around about 10 or so minutes' time?
And there's loads of options there that I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind a game against Blackpool. That'd be nice. I wouldn't mind a game, against either St Albans or Boreham Wood, the winners of that. Cambridge. Who else is in there? Plymouth. Even Rotherham. Any of them, to be fair, would be nice.
Yes, and Luke, have you been a Nottingham Forest fan and for your sins, who would you like to see Forest get in the competition?
I have two conditions for this draw. I want to avoid Chelsea, Arsenal, and Newcastle
Okay.
because we seem to always get drawn against them.
Yeah.
And I also want to avoid a championship team because that'd just be boring.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Yes, and for me, we at least spend them up in that we either draw. I don't want to draw a Premier League side, so I want to draw a lower league side, probably a Championship side, and
Rotherham.
depending who we get.
Leeds against Rotherham. There you go, Russ. You don't know what
I
I
said
do.
to JB, I said to JB earlier. He says he don't mind who Burnley get. I went Rotherham v Burnley and Burnley to get knocked out. He went no chance, but you never know. How Burnley have been playing recently, and we Rotherham currently on an 18-match unbeaten run in all competitions this season, including the Papa John's Trophy and the FA Cup, which I was at on Friday night. And fantastic. Yeah, and I was actually on one of the highlights packages that one of the TV channels put out for the Rotherham match. So in the studio making the draw on the TV that we've got in front of us is Farrah Williams, who's a 9 times women FA Cup winner, and she's alongside England goalkeeper
Faye White.
David
You said Farrah Williams. It's Faye White that's doing it.
Faye White, I mean. And alongside David Seaman. And I've got a fun fact to tell you both about David Seaman and listeners as well.
Go on.
David Seaman went to school with my dad, and my dad scored past him in school.
Oh, okay.
He actually growing up
cool.
in Rotherham, and he used to be on the books at Leeds United at one stage as well. Did David Seaman?
It was an Arsenal QPR quality keeper, and
England international as well.
Yeah, and when you look at David Seaman and you look at this competition in particular, he certainly made the save for me of the FA Cup, that one against Sheffield United. You can't get much better than that.
Yes, and he's a 4-time FA Cup winner, is David Seaman. And we'll be getting ready to hand over to our man. We can see on the screen up next to me, Mike Ornament, who's going to go through the draw and tell you who each team's get very shortly. We was hoping to have a few other people on, but they've had other commitments on tonight. We was hoping to get Ryan Francis on, but he's having technical issues at his end, and we were hoping to bring you the match late in the FA Cup, but we'll keep you updated if that's going to go ahead. I'll try and confirm that before we end this broadcast. Around about 7:30, ready for the next one to start potentially. If not, on all TCHub platforms tonight, you'll hear commentary of Everton against Arsenal with our very own man in the top corner, Mike Ornament, and he's going to be watching that one for us. As we can see, some of the select ball numbers on the draws. Arsenal number 2, Chelsea 13, Liverpool 23, Man City 25, Man United 26, Yeovil 45, Bournemouth or St Albans 58, Kidderminster 59, Chesterfield 61, and Harrogate Town number 64.
So what I will say, just a second, Russ, before we go into it as well, the Carabao Cup, Stevenage were knocked out by Wickham, and Wickham ended up getting Man City. So I'm sure Yeovil will get a very, very big tie.
Yes, and with that in mind, and the draw about to take place, it's time for me to hand over to you, commentator. It's Mike Ornament who's going to be guiding you through the draw for the FA Cup third round. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Russ. So we are going to be just getting underway in a second. David Seaman is just about to put the balls in now, and then they're going to give it a good old shuffle, and then we'll see what happens from there. Just putting in the balls in now, so shouldn't be too long now until we're underway with the first team coming out of the hat. So we're just about to find that one out now, and it is the first ball coming out right now, in fact, and that is ball number 58, and that is Boreham Wood or St Albans. So straight away, they're the first ones out. So let's see whether, who it is that goes to one of these two sides, and if they can get a big tie. It's number 50, which is AFC Wimbledon, travelling to the winners of this tie. So AFC Wimbledon get a bit of a tricky away tie against the non-league side. Up next is number 45, which is Yeovil Town, conquerors of Stevenage at the weekend on Saturday. Home tie for them. Darren Sarle's men, and Darren Sarle's men are facing number 1, AFC Bournemouth. So a tricky tie for AFC Bournemouth to go to Yeovil as well, and I'm sure that's a good tie for them, because obviously Bournemouth are flying high in the Championship. Out next is number 38, which is Stoke City. Let's see who goes to the Britannia Stadium, and it's going to be drawn now, and it is number 52, Leyton Orient, that travel there to face off against the Potters of Stoke. And then up next, we're going to have number 39, which is Swansea City of the Championship. Beat Stevenage at this stage last season, I believe, in fact. And they are up against number 37, Southampton. So a bit of a sticky tie there for Southampton, who are obviously not doing the best in the Premier League this season. So out next, we've got number 13, which is Chelsea. Women's FA Cup winners yesterday. See whether the men are able to go on a similar kind of run and get to the final potentially, maybe win the thing. And they are up against number 61, and that is Chesterfield of the National League. So Chesterfield travel to Chelsea there. Great tie for them. Out next is number 23, which is Liverpool. So we'll find out in a minute who goes to Anfield to face off against Jurgen Klopp's men. And it's going to be Liverpool up against number 60, which is Shrewsbury Town going there. So Shrewsbury Town travel to Anfield in round 3. Big tie for them. Number 12 is out next, and that is Cardiff City of the Championship. Let's see who gets the trip to Wales in this next round. And they are up against number 33, which is Preston North End. So Preston North End are the side that have to travel to Cardiff there. Out next, we have number 14, Coventry City there. Matt Godden plays for them, of course, former Stevenage striker. And they are up against number 16, Derby County. So a derby there for both of those sides. Coventry Derby in that derby game there. What a tie that one is. Out next is number 11, Burnley of the Premier League. Not doing too well, but JB side are at home there. So see who they're up against now. And it's Burnley up against number 19, Huddersfield Town of Yorkshire. So you were right when you said that they were going to get a Yorkshire side, Russ, but just the wrong one. Out next is number 42, which is West Bromwich Albion. Let's see who's going to travel to West Brom next in this third round. And it's West Brom against number 9, Brighton and Hove Albion, who are doing very well in the Premier League this season, in all fairness to them. Up next is number 59, which is Kidderminster Harriers, non-league Kidderminster. Let's see who they're up against in the next round of the FA Cup here. It's the Harriers up against number 35, which is Reading. So Reading travel to the non-leaguers there. Then next, we're going to have number 22, which is Leicester City, winners of the competition last season, of course. See who the holders are going to face this time out. They're up against number 41, which is Watford in that All Premier League tie. And also a return to Leicester for a former boss of theirs as well. He was there not long ago in the league, in fact. Number 54 is next, which is Mansfield Town. So we'll wait and see what happens here now, who Mansfield face off against. They are at home to number 27, Middlesbrough. So good game there for Mansfield Town against Championship Middlesbrough. Hartlepool United out next, number 49. They're at home. So Jeff Stelling's side, who are they going to be up against? They are facing number 7, Blackpool. So Blackpool have to travel to Hartlepool. League 2 against League 1 there. Number 20 next, which is Hull City. Didn't get to this stage last season. Stevenage knocked them out in second round, I believe it was, because they were League 1 at that point. And they're at home to 17, which is Everton, who are facing Arsenal in league action in just under an hour's time. So they go to Hull. Of course, Hull were finalists not too long ago themselves as well. Out next is number 10, Bristol City. And who's going to be drawn next to go to Ashton Gate? It is the number 18, Fulham. Barry Swain's Fulham and Ryan Francis's Fulham as well. Still awaiting Leeds and Nottingham Forest. Tottenham Hotspur is next out. Of course, they were number 40 there. And they are up against number 48, which is Morecambe. So good tie there for Morecambe, getting to go to White Hart Lane and face off the likes of face off with the likes of Harry Kane and Son. Out next is number 28, which is Millwall. And Millwall are at home here to number 15, which is Crystal Palace, and that All London tie there. Very tasty All London affair, that one. Up next is number 47, which is Port Vale of League 2. Tom Pett's Port Vale. Tom Conlon there as well, captain of them. And they're up against number 8, Brentford. We're doing all right in the Premier League, to be fair, considering it's their first season there. They've got a tie at Port Vale in the next round. Out next is number 55, Swindon Town. Doing very well in League 2 at Swindon. They're right up towards the top end of the division. And they are up against number 25, which is Manchester City, getting to go to Swindon there. So good tie for them. Harry McCurdy will be delighted with that one, no doubt. I'm sure we'll see a lot of that on social media if you're a follower of his. Out next, number 51, Wigan Athletic. And Wigan are up against number 6, Blackburn Rovers. Won the Premier League, of course, back many years ago in the 1990s. With Alan Shearer and co. Out next is number 24, Luton Town. So let's see who gets to go to Bedfordshire and face off against the Hatters at Kenilworth Road. It's going to be number 64, Harrogate Town, another League 2 side there. Up against Luton Town, who are doing well in the Championship at the moment. Out next is number 5, which is Birmingham City. And who's going to get to go to Birmingham and St Andrews? It's going to be number 62, which is Plymouth Argyle. So it's Argyle away at St Andrews there. Doing well in League 1 at Plymouth at the moment. Out next, Manchester United, number 26. I've won this competition 12 times, I believe. And they are up against number 3, Aston Villa. So it's going to be an interesting tie there. Stephen Gerrard's Aston Villa now up against Ralph Rangnick's Manchester United side these days. Out next, number 44, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Kieran Riley's side. And they are up against the number 36, Sheffield United. It's not loads of teams left now, I don't think. So up next is number 29, which is Newcastle United. Still awaiting for a few of the teams here. All of our teams on here we're still waiting for. And out next is number 53, Cambridge United. Wonder if it's going to be Arsenal against Leeds or Arsenal against Forest. And, something for us to talk about because there's still all of those three teams to pick. Out next is Barnsley. So let's see who gets to go to Oakwell. Rotherham's still in there as well. Haven't been drawn out as of yet. 63 next, which is Ipswich or Barrow. Travelling to Barnsley. We're going to see Leeds against Rotherham. I wonder if we can see that one. Out next, we've got number 32, which is Peterborough United. Let's see who gets to go to Peterborough. It's going to be David Seaman's just drawn out. Number 46, Bristol Rovers. We've only got 8 more teams, 4 of which are teams that we all support or follow. Out next is number 43, West Ham United. Let's see whether it's one of those teams that come out now. It's the number 21, which is Leeds United there, going to West Ham. So, tricky away tie for one of David Seaman's former sides there, up against West Ham. Out next is number 34, Queen's Park Rangers. A side that I used to go and watch when I was younger with my brother and my dad. And they are up against number 56, Rotherham. So QPR Rotherham now. Still awaiting Nottingham Forest. I wonder if it'd be Luke. We've still got 4 more to go. 57, which is Charlton Athletic. If this is Norwich, Luke, then, we've really got this one, haven't we? And up next for Charlton is number 13, Norwich City. So it is going to be, one way or another, Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. And is it going to be at the Emirates, or is it going to be... It's going to be away from home as well. So it's a home tie for Nottingham Forest there, up against Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, which completes the draw there for this third round of the FA Cup. I knew it was going to come into the final stages there, where there's going to be some of those teams involved who we support or who we follow. And there we go, Luke. It's on, mate. You have to say that because it's going to be an exciting one. But that concludes the draw. And I'll hand you back to Russ in the studio. We've got Kieran with us as well. But some really big ties there. I've got Boreham Wood and Albans. The winners of that against AFC Wimbledon. Yeovil at home to Bournemouth. Also Stoke against Leyton Orient. Swansea Southampton. Chelsea Chesterfield. Great tie for Chesterfield, that one. Liverpool Shrewsbury. Likewise, great tie for Shrewsbury. Cardiff against Preston. And Coventry against Derby, which is obviously a bit of a derby match. Burnley against Huddersfield. West Brom against Brighton. Kidderminster against Reading. Leicester, Watford, to return to Leicester there of the former boss. Mansfield against Middlesbrough. Hartlepool against Blackpool. Hull against Everton. Bristol City against Fulham, to complete that lot there. Tottenham against Morecambe. Great tie for Morecambe. Millwall against Palace in that all-London affair there. Port Vale against Brentford. Manchester City have to travel to Swindon. Wigan against Blackburn. Luton, Harrogate, Birmingham, Plymouth, Manchester United and Villa in that old Premier League tie there as well. Wolves against Sheffield United. Newcastle against Cambridge. Barnsley against Ipswich or Barrow. Peterborough against Bristol Rovers. West Ham, Leeds in the old Premier League tie. QPR, Rotherham. Charlton against Norwich. And finally, it's Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. So there we go. We're just a full recap there. They're going along the bottom of the screen as well. But I'll hand you back to Russ, and some tasty ties there. None more so than Nottingham Forest Arsenal from our point of view. The fact that me and Luke are both here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much there, Mike Ornament. And before we go to Mike and to Luke to get their reaction to the draw, we're delighted to say we are joined by our very good friend Kieran Riley, who's a Wolverhampton Wanderers fan. And Kieran, how you doing, my friend? You okay?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, pal. Yourself?
All good, mate. Thank you. Wolves at home to Sheffield United in the FA Cup third round draw. Then Kieran, I'm Molyneux, an home tie for Wolves. Your thoughts on that draw for your side, Kieran?
It's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. I was hoping it would have hopefully been a derby. Because when I saw Villa was still yet to be drawn, I was thinking deep down, it's going to be either Blues away or Villa away. But I'm happy with the home time, which means I can get to go and watch. But I wasn't expecting Sheffield. Now, I think from the top of my memory, our performance against Sheffield haven't been that great in previous years. So it's definitely going to be a tough tie from my perspective, I think. But we'll certainly have to wait and see. I mean, if we can't even beat the likes of Norwich and Burnley and only hold them to a draw, what the heck are we going to do against Sheffield? So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that one. I'm hoping we'll win, because I'm hoping we get a decent cup run, but it's all about waiting and seeing. And I'm hoping the unfortunate setback against Liverpool hasn't knocked our team too much, because that was a very disappointing game. But no, it'd be tough. Certainly have to wait and see.
That we will, Kieran. That we will, my friend, and thank you very much for coming on to give your thoughts. First of all, let's go to the team whose side's at home, in fact, and that's Luke Turton. Nottingham first against Arsenal, then Luke. How do you see that tie going in? I know you said beforehand you didn't want to get Arsenal. You have got Arsenal. What's your thoughts, mate?
What is it with the cups and Chelsea, Arsenal, and Newcastle? I mean, is there some kind of attraction to them and the FA Cup and us? I mean, I don't mind playing Arsenal because, I mean, last time they came to the City Ground, Eric Lehigh just took them to bits. So let's just hope our right back can do it again. Although that's going to create a bit of a problem because Jed Spence will be gone by that point, and our other right back on loan is Osei Tutu, who is on loan from Arsenal. So not only will we have fun at left back, we'll also have fun at right back. Yay!
Yes, but Luke, you must be happy though that it's an home tie. You're not having to travel to the Emirates. You must be glad that it's at the City Ground.
I mean, I'd have been happier if it was a different opponent like Manchester United coming to the City Ground than Arsenal that I've already seen come to the City Ground. Not that I went, but I watched it on BT Sport. But I don't know. It's a bit of a kind of meh tie for me because, I mean, Arsenal or Chelsea is the kind of tie we get for the big sides. I just hope we go through now.
Yes, absolutely. And before I give my thoughts on the tie for Leeds and for Rotherham, who I do work for and watch quite often, Mike, your thoughts on the draw for Arsenal, my friend?
It's quite an interesting draw, I think. You know, it's a tricky place to go, don't get me wrong. And in January there, it's going to be during AFCON, so we'll be without players as well. No Partey, no Aubameyang. Not that I don't think they'd have played anyway. I think, you know, it might have been a bit more of a fringe kind of team with different players that might have played, which might work into Nottingham Forest's favour as well. Having the likes of Rob Holding and Bernd Leno and, you know, Eddie Nketiah, if he's still around, players like that actually playing. But no, you know, I think it's an interesting tie. I don't want to take it for granted by any stretch of the imagination. But you know, it's a side that the league are sort of below us, so the fact we're away it shouldn't really matter. We should, you know, still be strong enough to get the job done, no matter what squad we put out. And yeah, just have to wait and see now. Looking forward to what should be a good cup tie. And we've really, you know, we've done well in the League Cup this season. Let's see if we can bring that forward into the FA Cup as well and continue it against, you know, Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup and go on a bit of a run in that competition and, you know, maybe win it again for the 15th time now.
Yes, and before I get on to my thoughts on Leeds tie and Rotherham tie, just going to come to you again, Mike. All the ties going across the bottom. You've touched on Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. Which one for you is the tie of the round?
You've got to look at Chesterfield going to Chelsea as a massive tie. You think that's going to be, you know, a great tie for them, having to go to Stamford Bridge and the players there to test themselves on a big occasion. Liverpool's tie as well. They, you know, they're obviously facing a side from quite a lot lower down. The riches of Newcastle up against Cambridge. There's not really one tie I can pick out. There's sort of 3 or 4. Even some of the other games. The likes of West Ham and Leeds, the all Premier League tie. There's many ties there that you can pick out. But if I had to plump for one, I think Chesterfield going to Chelsea is probably up there with one of the ties of the round, if not the tie of the round for me.
Yes, and Luke, the tie of the round for you, my friend?
I mean, I quite like Derby going to Coventry after their reaction to their fans in the league game. I mean, that's going to be quite exciting to see. But, I mean, I don't really think it's been that much of an interesting round because although the smaller sides have got some of the bigger sides, there's not a lot of derbies around there. I mean, I always look for kind of teams playing each other that are close. And, I mean...
How about Millwall Palace for a tasty game? That could be interesting.
Yeah, that one's interesting. I was trying to read them as they went across the bottom. I mean, Mansfield Middlesbrough, it's not local, but again, I think that's going to be an interesting one with Nigel Clough against Chris Wilder. That could be quite a tasty kind of touchline. Because Mansfield have turned it round now. Middlesbrough is slowly turning it around and will probably have Jed Spence back by then. Boo-hoo. So, yeah, all I want to know is if Mertesacker can come out of retirement to play against Forest.
I don't think he'll be able to, Luke, I'm afraid. But let me touch on my ties for the teams I follow and support and cover for work. And I'll start off with the team I cover for work first and foremost alongside the commentary, and that's QPR versus Rotherham. Paul Warne, after the game on Friday, said he wanted Newcastle at the ACL New York Stadium for some of the lads. Michael Smith, a big Newcastle fan, down ball laser, ex-Newcastle player. He wanted Newcastle at home for them, and I think a trip to the capital may not be too thrilled for Paul Warne, but I think it'll be a very tough test. Obviously, I know Rotherham did well on some of the previous occasions and struggled there as well, but I think it'll be a very tough game, as it will be for Leeds United. Last season, we lost both games to West Ham in the league. We only lost to West Ham in the league this season. Last win in London was against Fulham last season, and before that, it was quite a long time ago, so hopefully we can get a win and progress here, but I'm not that awful. Obviously, I will back Leeds to get through, and I will back Rome to get through, but I don't think either will, to be honest with you. Another tie which tie around for me, like you said, Mike, Chesterfield going to Stamford Bridge, also Swindon having Man City there as well. Obviously, there's Cambridge Newcastle, which you also mentioned, Mike, and if Barrow get past Ipswich, Barrow in League 2 playing up against a Championship side could be a good tie there as well. Also, just looking at it as well, Forest, Arsenal, and Luke's not happy that his Arsenal wanted to be someone a bit different, but it is something quite interesting that another tie of the round for me, Bournemouth or St Albans will play later on this evening, taking on AFC Wimbledon. Yeovil from the National League going up against one of the Championship High Flyers in Bournemouth. Also, I've mentioned Chesterfield there. Liverpool against Shrewsbury, they played them a few years ago, if I remember correctly, as well. Coventry Derby, local Midlands Derby. Burnley, Huddersfield. That's going to be a tough task for Burnley, with Huddersfield playing well-goal points against Barnsley the weekend. Kidderminster, Reading. Kidderminster knocked out Halifax yesterday and going up against Reading. Leicester, Watford. Claudio Ranieri going back to Leicester a few weeks after getting lost 4-2 in the league. Mansfield, Middlesbrough, great time for Mansfield. Great time for Hartlepool as well, taking on Blackpool in the FA Cup. And a friend of mine who I know, Anthony Lee, his brother Graham Lee's in charge of Hartlepool now, was previously under 23 manager at Middlesbrough, so a good tie test himself against a Championship opposition. And Neil Critchley, who's Liverpool under 23's manager until he got the permanent job at Blackpool as the first team manager there. Manchester United against Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard going back to Old Trafford this time as a manager. He will be going there in the league as well, up against Ralph Rangnick this time around, and it'll be interesting to see how that gets on there. And so that's the draw. Then we've covered the majority of the ties. There's a few other ties which we've not covered because they're not really that interesting in any of our opinions. But I'm going to go around everyone, and I'll round you two, and then I'll say mine last. And I'm going to go to Luke first of all. Luke, with the ties here, on going across the bottom, and with the teams in the draw, whose name do you think is going to be on the cup come the FA Cup final? Which two teams do you think is going to be in the final, and who do you think is going to win it?
That is incredibly difficult, Russ, because you don't know which two sides, what the runs of the sides are going to be. But if I'm just plucking two names out off the top of my head, then I like to be bold. So I'm going to go. Let's go for Man City Blackpool, just because why not?
And who do you think is going to win it on the day, Luke?
Probably Man City, because they usually win everything. So, you know.
Yes, and Mike, yourself, who do you reckon is going to be in the final, and who do you reckon is going to win it?
There's quite an interesting one. I think Chelsea will have a good season. I think they could get to a final. I think Liverpool could potentially get to a final. So I'm going to go. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm going to have to say Arsenal will go through this round and go on and start. Luke shaking his head there, but we are going to beat you, mate. I'll tell you that now. So I think we could have a season, maybe where we actually go on and potentially get to a final again. So I'm going to go. What are we going to go? I reckon we'll do well. I don't reckon we'll get to a final. I'll go Chelsea and who are we going to have? Chelsea. I think Liverpool will do well, but I don't think they'll get to the final. Let's go Man United under Ralph Rangnick. Let's see. I think they'll beat Villa. Maybe they could go all the way and then end up losing the finals to Chelsea.
Well, for me, I think it's going to be a final between Arsenal. Sorry, Luke. And I'm going to say, probably won't happen, but I'm going to say Arsenal against Leeds, and Leeds to win 1-0 like we did back in 1972 when Alan Clark scored in a 1-0 win, and this time it's going to be Patrick Bamford to score the winner in a 1-0 win. So I'm going to say Arsenal against Leeds, and Leeds to win it. But I don't think Leeds will get there, but that's my prediction. But I think realistically it'll probably be Arsenal against Chelsea, with Arsenal to win it.
I've got a question as well, just before we end it here. If you look at these ties, so there's quite a lot of big teams going against lower teams. Do you see any upsets? Do you see, maybe Cambridge going to Newcastle and getting a win? Do you see maybe Manchester City somehow getting unstuck at Swindon? I don't know. Luke, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that tendency to get upset because teams don't put out their strongest sides. I mean, Forest beating Arsenal will be an upset for one. Spurs will lose because Spurs tend to lose every game. But is that really an upset?
Hold on. Did you say Spurs will lose? Tottenham get battered everywhere they go.
I had to get that in there. Here's one for you, just to really cause an upset. Chesterfield. I reckon they might get something at Chelsea. Just to be really bold.
Russ, what do you reckon? Anything you reckon there?
An upset for me, man, just before we finish, I'm going to go with Luke and say possibly Chesterfield against Chelsea, especially how Chesterfield played yesterday from what I saw on the highlights against Salford. Maybe Hartlepool against Blackpool as well, knocking out League Two side, knocking out the Championship side. Maybe Morecambe against Tottenham. Morecambe to win at Tottenham after a good performance that they're playing at Buxton on Saturday in the game, which I saw for the commentary hub. And maybe Harrogate against Luton, Mike, as well, I reckon. But that's all I think we've got time for
I
now,
reckon
Mike.
that could potentially be Harrogate against Luton could be. I also think another one, just before we wrap it up, that could potentially be an upset is the game.
Morecambe Tottenham.
Yeah, maybe. But there was another one. It was Mansfield Middlesbrough. I think Mansfield could potentially get a win there as well.
Yes, that's a good shout, Michael. He did well against Doncaster, did Mansfield at the weekend as well. We've just got a comment in here as well, which is Road to Red Devils. Very good evening to you. And I'll just put the comment up on the screen. He says, City get an easy draw. City getting easy draws as usual. And before we end it, we'll just get a reaction to that comment there. Mike, do you agree with that comment that Manchester City have got an easy draw in the third round of the FA Cup?
Yeah, 100%. You know, they could put anyone out really, and they should really have enough to beat Swindon. But it'd be interesting to see whether Swindon get anything from that, even in terms of a goal. Maybe they've scored one and then get beat 4-5-1 or 6-1 or something, and then at least they've got a goal to cheer.
Luke, what about you? Do you reckon that's an easy draw for Manchester City to progress to the fourth round?
We're talking about football here. I mean, on paper, yeah, it's an easy draw, but we all well know that football is not played on paper. So the side that Pep's going to put out has to come out and perform against Swindon, and it's away at Swindon. And obviously Swindon are going to be really up for this game. So, I mean, it's not an easy draw by any means. I mean, none of those ties are easy because football's not an easy game to play. All it takes is a team to have an off day, and then, anything is possible. I mean, Peterborough nearly beat us at the weekend because we were having an off first half. So,
Absolutely. Oh, and I think it is quite an easy draw because, like Mike said, Road to Red Devils, Pep Guardiola's got loads of talent in his squad. He can even put out under 23s and they'd end up winning 5 or 6-0 against any team, really, in any competition, even in the Premier League. Which I know the majority of the first team had, but they won 5-0 against Arsenal, Man City with a fairly strong side. So, but I think it's going to be a tough ask for Swindon to get anything. So you're probably right there. And he's responded as well, which we'll just leave with this comment. Says, I think this is in response to you, Luke. He says, you're right, football is an hard game. We're talking about on paper here, which is what he means when he says City getting easy draws as usual. Road to Red Devils, thank you very much for getting involved in the programme. Mike, thank you very much for coming on and providing some punditry and some commentary as well, my friend.
No, that's fine, Ross. Not to worry, mate. I need to shoot over because I've got a stream of my own in about 20 minutes, commentating on the Everton-Arsenal game for the Premier League. So thank you, and I'm going to head out from here. So cheers, mate. Thank you.
No worries, and Luke, thank you very much for coming on as well, my friend.
No worries. Cheers, Ross.
Cheers, guys, and we'll see you all again very soon. From all the team here, good night.